and no one dared to ask him any more questions. Once in a while, there are students who ask questions not because they are really interested in knowing the answer. I am one who, as a teacher, teaching CCD or teaching religious classes, at all levels, I always encourage students to ask questions, not to keep any doubts in their minds, because the knowledge they receive is going to stay with them forever. But again, sometimes there are students who don't ask questions because they want to know the answer. There are children who don't ask questions to their parents because they want to know the answer. They think they know the answer already. It reminds me of the story of this little girl who said to her mom, "Mom, where do we come from?" And the mother said, "Well, we come from God. God created us. He gave us life." "Yeah, but I asked my dad the same question and he says we come from monkeys." And the mother said, "Don't worry about that. He's talking about his side of the family." Well, in this occasion, this scribe came to Jesus and he already thought that he knew the answer. "Teacher, which is the greatest commandment of all?" At the time, Jesus was becoming very, very popular among the people. And he wanted to see if Jesus would make a mistake, will not know the answer. And Jesus obviously didn't fall to that trap because he knew far more than any scribe or any Pharisee and all of them together. So he began by quoting from the book of Deuteronomy, that quote that every Jewish person says in the morning and in the evening, that is inscribed in the doors of every Jewish home to remind themselves about this great commandment, the great Shema Israel. Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu. Remember, O Israel, there is only one God. There is none beside him. To the Lord your God you must love with all your mind, with all your heart, with all your soul. But then Jesus, without being asked, he added something from the book of Leviticus. And you shall love your neighbor as yourself. When, in the time of Jesus, anyone would ask that question, most teachers would answer kind of in a negative way. Do unto others what would like them do to you. So when we think of ourselves, and we don't want anyone to harm us, we don't want to lie to us, we don't want anyone to hurt us, so think about what you don't want people to do to you, and then don't do those things to others. The commandments that the Lord had given us through Moses. But the Lord put a positive spin into that. What is the Lord asking us to do? Not only not to do to others what we don't like, being done to ourselves. He says, I encourage you, I ask you that you as my disciples recognize that all people were created into the image and likeness of God. When my Father created you, He created you into His own image and likeness. So our effort is to recognize the image and likeness of God in all the people we meet. I want you to see that's positive. I want you to discover the image and likeness of God in all your brothers and sisters. Because if you do, You will never lie to them. If you do, you will never hurt them. If you do, you will help them in every possible way. You see what God is asking us to do? You see why he knew more than the Pharisee, the scribe that came to ask him, what is the greatest commandment? So the scribe, he said, Lord, you answered correctly. I can see that you are a great teacher. And Jesus said, well, do that and you will live. That's why no one dared to ask him any more questions. Because they knew that he knew more than them. They knew that Jesus was not falling to the trap of trying to reveal a weakness in his answers. The Lord is asking us, my friends, to always be mindful of the greatest of all commandments. Sometimes we do it ourselves. We ask the Lord, what is it that I need to do to just make sure that I'm a good person? What is the minimum I can do? That's what we are saying. Sometimes we also ask Jesus the question, but with not the most sincerity of heart. What is it that I can do? What is the minimum I can do to know that I am a good person? And the Lord is saying, no, always strive to do more. Whenever they ask Mother Teresa of Calcutta, you know what, why she did what she did for the poor, she said, because I have seen the image and likeness of God in my brothers and sisters who are dying. Because I see a reflection of God in the poor. That's why I do what I do. And Mother Teresa of Calcutta always invited those who question her to do the same. He said, love God with all your mind and heart and soul, and recognize that the poor are created into his image and likeness. Then help them. Help them because you see Jesus in them. Some years ago, a very popular musical came out. It became the most popular musical of all times. It broke every record. And it was based on a great book written by Victor Hugo, Les Miserables. And do you know, if you went to see that play, and if you saw the movie, and it was made a movie later on, and if you know the songs, the very last sentence of that play is what? To love another person is to see the face of God. To love another person is to see the face of God. We cannot pretend that we love God if we don't love our brothers and sisters. It's impossible. Mother Teresa of Calcutta knew that, and she said, because we cannot love God without loving our neighbor. So I love God because I discover his image and likeness in my brothers and sisters. This is the challenge that all of us have, and that is why no one dared to ask Jesus any more questions. Because he will always be inviting us, always will invite us to do more, to go the extra mile, to give our code if they have asked us to give everything that we need to give, and always do what we would do for the love of God. One of the most beautiful things before I conclude that we can do for others is to pray for them. During this month of November, and particularly today, that we are celebrating All Souls, we remember those who have gone from us, before us, but we don't forget them. They continue to be part of us. In the Catholic Church, it's beautiful, the Catholic faith. We believe in the communion of saints. What that means is that all of us are one body. Jesus is the head of that body, the church. All the saints are part of that mystical body, the saints in heaven, the souls in purgatory, and all of us who continue to journey here on earth. And we are to pray for all of brothers and sisters who are in purgatory. The only thing that will bring them closer to enter into heaven and will bring them one day to enter into heaven are our prayers. Do not forget to pray for the faithful departed during this month of November. All these candles that you see here on the sanctuary are representing the names of people that you knew, people who loved you, people who cared for you, people who share the gift of themselves with all of us. We don't forget them as they don't forget us. All your faithful departed are praying for you, but also they are gently asking, remember me, remember me, don't forget about me. We visit the cemetery in these days to gain indulgences for all the faithful departed. We go and receive communion every day to release a soul from purgatory and do all the conditioned prayers that we have printed in the bulletin. All the people who are watching us through this TV Mass, you can also obtain an indulgence from your bed of pain and sickness by offering your suffering for the souls of purgatory. Go to our webpage and see the conditions that we have printed there, and you can obtain indulgences for the souls in purgatory. Why? Because we cannot say we love God without loving our neighbors. And our neighbors in purgatory need our prayers. Do not forget about the dead, and may the souls of the faithful departed, through the mercy of God, rest in peace. Amen.